We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Brandon, again on Facebook. Brandon's looking for a new AV receiver. I think you should get the X4300H. He wants a 5.2.4 configuration in his theater with a pair of Zone 2 speakers in another room. He also wants to be able to output the full HDMI signal to a second zone. That shouldn't be a problem with almost any mid-range receiver or higher right now. He's torn between the Yamaha RX-A3060 and the new Marantz SR7012. There's also the Marantz SR7011, which is significantly less expensive as current clearance price. What should he buy? Is there something significant that should make him lean either Yamaha or Marantz? Would he be missing out on anything if he goes with a slightly older and less expensive SR7011?
There's some details to dig into with this.
Okay, go ahead. You do that.
Sure. So, okay, let's start with the Zone 2 thing, right? Because he says he wants to be able to have Zone 2 speakers in another room. If you go with Marantz or Denon, because I actually kind of agree with Tom, like if you were looking at the SR7011, then the Denon X4300H is even less expensive than that and has all the same capabilities as the Marantz SR. Now, maybe he was only looking at Marantz because he physically likes the way they look.
I'm down with that.
Is a totally fine reason to do this. But if it's purely about capabilities, that X4300H is out there from Denon with the exact same capabilities as the Marantz SR7011. Now, with the Denon and the Marantz models, anything that you're going to play out of Zone 2 must be
analog.
2-channel.
Ugh.
It doesn't have to be analog, but it has to be 2-channel. Meaning from the source itself. It has to be 2-channel in order to play it out of Zone 2, and that goes for HEOS as well, which is their built-in wireless whole house audio solution. The source itself has to be sending 2-channel only. You can't send a multi-channel sound source and play that out of Zone 2 or from the HEOS system in Denon or Marantz. Now, that's a limitation because if what he wanted to do was have your cable blocks playing in full surround sound in your theater and then replicate that same audio in a second zone, you're limited to 2-channel in both zones if you want to make that happen. So that's a real limitation. Now, the Yamaha, the RX-A3070, or I'm going to also mention there's the A3060, which is the previous year's model where virtually nothing changed. So if you can find the 3060 at a lower price, that's definitely a viable option too. Now it's kind of an interesting thing because you said you want to do 5.2.4 in your main theater. That means you have to configure it to have 4 overhead speakers, which means in Yamaha's parlance, they call it front presence and rear presence speakers. That's what the labels will be. That's the name that they've given it to. But that's the same as top front and top rear or front height and rear height. It's the same thing. Front presence, rear presence. If you are using 4 overhead speakers, with the Yamaha A3060 or A3070, you no longer have Zone 2 or Zone 3 pre-outs available to you. Ugh. It takes the pre-outs for Zone 2 and Zone 3 and uses that processing to create your 4 presence speakers. So if you only had 2 presence speakers, you say your front heights or your front presence, you could then have a Zone 3 pre-out active, but if you have all 4 overheads, you no longer have any presence speakers or no longer have any zone speakers available to you. So you couldn't do it with a physical wire, but what you could use is Yamaha's MusicCast system, which is exactly what I think you should do. Because Yamaha's MusicCast system, which is their wireless whole house audio solution, can actually take any audio format. You can be playing Dolby True HD with Atmos extensions in your main theater in full 7.2.4 and still play that exact same audio source from the MusicCast system. Now, it'll down mix it to 2-channel to play it out of any of the MusicCast speakers or MusicCast amplifiers, but the point is you don't have to change what your source is sending. Your source can still be sending full surround sound, full immersive audio, full Atmos, anything. MusicCast will handle that. So that's actually what I think you should do, because the hassle of having to always manually switch your sources to only send out 2-channel every time you want to use Zone 2 or Hios, to me, that's... Now, maybe you're only ever going to use a music source that's 2-channel anyway, so that could work. But I'm suspecting you want to be able to send your cable box audio or something to Zone 2. So for that purpose, I think MusicCast is the way to go, and I'd get either the RX-A3060 or A3070 from Yamaha to do that. That's what I say.
Okie dokie. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.